found that the majority of Wicca, witchcraft and paganism books on the market are actually entry-level books. It can be difficult to sift through the thousands of books available to find something that's going to give you a little bit more to go on and to level up your craft. Hi, I'm Ethany. I have been practicing witchcraft for over 25 years, and these are my 10 hidden gems for more advanced books on the craft. These have been books that have brought something to my own journey, and I hope you love them as much as I do. As with everything I share, of course, this is just a suggestion and is not a reflection of the thousands of books that are out there. This is simply what's on my bookshelf and what I have read myself. All of these books are beyond 101 for paganism, witchcraft, and Wicca. I recommend that you have a pretty good foundation of knowledge before you actually read one of these books. Not because I'm implying that you are dumb or that you're not going to get it. It's just that it does not go over any of the basic information of the craft. It is meant to be a book that is built upon the foundation of knowledge you already have. There are fantastic beginner books, and if you want me to do a list on those, please let me know. But there are a ton of them out on the interwebs. Without further ado, here are my top 10 advanced books for witches who want to go further in their craft. My first book, and one I absolutely love, is Apprentice to Power by Timothy Roderick. I have read this book a number of times, and I actually really want to read it again now that I've gone through this list. What I adore about this book is it is half memoir, half lessons, and you have exercises from every chapter as well. But if you don't have an elder or ancestors or high priestesses to speak to take you through some of the more advanced lessons of the craft, this book will help you, because it actually speaks through his experience and what he got out of it through the eyes of his own apprenticeships and through the guidance of the elders that he is in contact with. I love this book, and it is actually one book that I recommend people to read in my coven for the advanced witch. My second book is Traditional Witchcraft by Gemma, and I am so excited that these books are more readily available now, as they have been picked up for distribution through Llewellyn, I believe. I adore this book because it actually comes from the Cornish way of the craft, and this is not a Wicca book, this is a witchcraft book, and there is a lot of tradition in here in regards to the Cornish way of doing things. It has got so much information, lots of spells, lots of rituals and rites, folklore. It is honestly such a treasure trove of actual real traditional witchcraft in that area. So I recommend you give this a read. I don't believe any list will be complete without a Dion fortune book, and I have got Psychic Self-Defense for this little listy here. This is the third on my list. Now, her books can tend to be a little heavy going, and they may need a little bit of, I don't know, you might need a few coffees to get through some of it, but this has a lot of really decent information in regards to different types of psychic attack and lots of information about psychic self-defense. Hence the title. You may not agree with everything in here, but this is a classic for a reason, and I recommend anyone who's looking to do more energy work and really keep their craft alive, they read up on psychic self-defense and learning how to manage and protect their energies. The fourth book is Kindling, the Celtic Spirit by Freeman, and I love this book. I know that was that sounded like a beluga whale. That's how much I love this book. This book actually takes you through the sacred animals, the sacred days, the food, the mythologies, everything around Celtic spirituality. And what I absolutely love is that you can just go in here and have a look at, say, March, and then there's information on Ostara, on different myths around that time. There's meditations. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful sort of treasure trove of Celtic magic. And it's also just a stunning book to look through with all of its designs. But I have read this book more than once, and I've referred to it over and over and over again as a space of inspiration and beauty. And I love this book. The fifth book is When, Why, If. Now, this is by Robin Wood, and you may recognize her name from the Robin Wood Tarot. Now, I'm actually not sure whether this is still in print or if you can get it from Kindle, but you can also just go to her website and see if you can find it. But this is such a fantastic book on personal ethics, on really looking at the self, of self-responsibility, self-care, and it actually goes through a number of different areas of everyday life and how it actually plays into our magic and the core of our being. So like harm, sex, help, will, love, the self, honesty. It's such a brilliant practice and a really great book on really owning that know thyself part of the craft, and if it harm none, do as thou will. So this is a must read as far as I'm concerned. The sixth book is The Witch's Qabala by Ellen Kellen Reid. And again, another name you may recognize from the Witch's Tarot, which was, I think, published back in the 80s. I had that as well. What I love about this is it actually does go through the Qabala in a more pagan and witch perspective, which actually allows you to bring in some of that really rich, traditional, hugely informative and very ancient magic of the Qabala into your practice. It really does just go on the tree of life. And one of the things I love about this book is the exercises and the recommendations of how to actually bring the tree of life into your practice. It is a must read. And it is a little bit easier going than the Magical Qabala by Dion Fortune. So I think this one's a bit of a better read if Dion Fortune puts you to sleep a little bit. No shame. I've fallen asleep maybe reading one of her books before. My seventh recommendation is Deepening Witchcraft by Grey Cat. What I love about this book is it opens with analytical thinking, critical thinking, actually taking everything that you consume as an individual, as a magician, as a witch, and actually thinking about it before you believe it and putting it in your ethos. It also has chapters on building community, creating events, being a part of the community, and really advancing your witchcraft outside of the self. So definitely someone who is going for their second or third degree, it is a really great book, as it also looks at how we can reframe philosophy and mythologies in a way in which we look at Wicca as a growing religion. So I really recommend this book as well. My eighth recommendation is The Science of the Craft by William H. Keith. This is such a mind bender in such a good way, and it is a recommended reading for people who are going into the second degree of my Awakened Soul Coven. This will get you thinking because it's got quantum physics, quantum mechanics, parallel universes, and how quantum magic and how science actually can explain things like energy work, healing, different realities, the way we manifest things. It's so interesting. You may want to take it a chapter at a time, but it really is a brilliant book, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything or see the craft in the way of science. It's just a wonderful way to expand your knowledge and understand the universe around you. My ninth recommendation is The Second Circle by Venecia Rauls, and this is a really actually wonderful book as an entryway for 201 books or more advanced books in Wicca. It goes into specializations of the craft. So like if you're looking to find where you want to move into, whether it's into healing or teaching or divination or something like that, it's actually going to talk you through a lot of that. There's also chapters in altered consciousnesses and also advanced literature. I think this is a really great way of advancing your craft in a nice level entry to 201 for the modern witch. And my 10th recommendation is the Psychic Counselor's Handbook by Ralph D. Jordan. And I got this book because of the fact that I am a professional tarot reader and I actually do, and also a high priestess. So I do hear a lot of people's stuff. And I also hold space for a lot of people's healings and just witnessing a lot of things, and being able to hold that space is really important. But this is a really, really great book because it's actually going to give you some tools and techniques to work through some of the things you may experience as a spiritual counselor, or someone who's going into the priestesshood of the craft, or someone who wants to be a teacher or a leader in the craft, or who is a tarot reader. Again, you may not sort of agree with everything, but this person actually has a PhD, so they kind of know what they're talking about when it comes to psychology. So it's a pretty thin little book, and it's at least worth reading to get your mind thinking in that way. What are the books that you would recommend for a more advanced witch? I would love to hear in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button, ding-a-ling-a-ling witches, so you'll be notified every time a new video is published.